While this is all in good fun, don't take your kids to see this movie. Vengeance is directed by B.J. Novak, and it stars B.J. Novak as the leading character in the film. And in this movie, a podcaster who once hooked up with a girl who belonged to a very tight and close-knit and very, very old-school Southern community finds out that she is now dead. People now think she's been killed. He shows up down there because everyone thinks this, and along the way he begins to try to uncover the mystery while trying to adapt to this very different lifestyle, and complete disastrous chaos begins to happen all around him, and things begin to get crazy. So BJ Novak, I think, has really done a very good job with picking places he wants to be, and be in. He's had such a wide variety of a career, I think, and it's always usually been very entertaining to me. I think most of the people just in general who came out of The Office are just very brilliant comedy-minded people, but they all work in other scenarios as well. I mean, lately looking at Steve Carell and John Krasinski is a perfect example of two people who managed to branch off and do such completely different things, but it works. BJ Novak is no exception. Him sitting in the directing chair of this movie was brilliant. He does a phenomenal job in this movie. I was blown away at just how funny this movie is, because I'm not often impressed by comedies nowadays. I think comedies sometimes nowadays are too smart for their own good. They play it a little too safe, and the jokes really don't land, or there's something we've seen before. And I think sometimes some of the better comedy we get nowadays is actually for movies that aren't even comedies. However, this film is perfect for me. This movie is like the tailor-made comedy for me, because my family and I, we always joke with like Southern accents and the redneck stuff, and I loved it because that's exactly what this movie was. His character in here is dead drop hilarious because you just feel for him. He's stuck in the middle of this town of basically nuts, and he's like trying to be rational and make sense, but at the same time he's like seeing what other people are doing around him and how they're trying to encourage him to do things and take part of what they do in their community, and their reactions to his questions and his line of thinking are what makes this movie funny, because it's just all you need to make these laughs, aside from some of the outrageous things that happen in here, is you can just have just polar opposites of just two different ways of living, and that makes it amusing. And I think that this film does a just absolutely hilarious job at it, and I laughed so hard so many times during this movie. The entire mystery in here is actually pretty good, even for a comedy, and you're genuinely wanting to find out what's going to happen, and you like all the characters in here, even the crazy ones, which is something that makes you just keep wanting to watch the film all the way through. I can't say or gush enough about this movie, because it hit where it needed to hit. It really did everything in its power to be just a fun blast from beginning to end. However, there's something I think is important to say. When this movie is rated R, it is rated R for a reason. This is definitely not something kids should be watching. This is very much, I'd say, more of a mature adult comedy. It's not really meant for kids. So that's in there, but for me, that actually bettered the experience, and I had a lot of fun with it. Just having a raw, unsafe, untamed comedy that just screamed in my face to the point where I just laughed uncontrollably. That's all I asked for a comedy. All I want a comedy to do is make me laugh, and that's what this did. One thing comedies do often, take themselves too seriously. This doesn't do it, despite the fact there's this plot, which should be very serious. It doesn't take it too seriously. It takes it seriously enough. It makes it work. And that's all it does, and that's all it needs to do, and it understands that fine balance. Everyone in here is dead drop hilarious. There are so many names in here that, people know. There's Ashton Kutcher, for instance, in here, and he's someone that I've seen in a lot more things. This film is just something that I feel like is a breath of fresh air to finally get in, and I'm just endlessly satisfied after seeing this film. For the negatives in this movie, I do think that they suffer a little bit from trying to make some of those jokes where it's very conversation-oriented, and you have to be witty, and sometimes those don't work the best in here, and it kind of, slowed things down at times when he would get to, the investigation part, or certain parts where he had to talk to his boss. and that felt a little draggy, but those aren't major problems with this movie. I just love this film. I was totally happy after watching it. I think if you just want to go out and have a fun time, go check this out. You'll probably enjoy it. You'll probably just eat a big thing of popcorn and laugh and inhale it as you're eating. So this is something that I think is finally Hollywood understanding what we want, maybe a little bit better, and doing it well. I'm going to give Vengeance an 8 out of 10. So thank you guys as always so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you all next time.